I wanna cover all of my scars. Just find a place to hide away like a flower to the wall. I could join the circus, heard they leave at dawn. Or I could find a ship and charter it, sail away to Avalon. 'Cause nothing hurts like a broken heart from someone who loved you. And I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you.
Hello. I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful day. I stopped the video because I wanted to talk to you about something. So I've had this podcast ready for the last 2 days, and I've not uploaded it. I haven't posted it because after watching it for a couple of times, I've struggled with something. And that something is the amount of ourselves that we decide to share, the amount of things we may bring into our podcast that is personal. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to start a channel was because I thought I had a lot to say. Also, I've lived a life. I don't want to say it's any more interesting than your life. We've all lived and continue to live very interesting lives. Any one of us, I'm sure there could be a movie made of our lives. I've often thought these stories that I've got, that have been passed down to me from my parents, my grandparents, and this journey that I've lived and continue to live. How will I ever share it with people, or will I even want to? But our stories have value, all of them. Yours, mine, everyone that's listening and watching this, your story has value. And I've become of the belief that the least we share our stories, we are doing no good to our cultures, our heritage, our past, of the people who have paved the way for us to be where we are. In many, many cultures, stories have been passed down orally. Stories, culture, the people we become. But by doing so, we are becoming vulnerable. In this podcast, I do get emotional, and it's my vulnerability. I share something that is very personal, not just to me, but to my mother. And I think it is sometimes all right, it's okay if I want to share things that are mine. I am making that decision. But I was sharing also something that belongs to my mother, even though now it belongs to me too. I felt a little uncomfortable bringing it here because one person may listen, perhaps two, maybe 1,000, or even more. And I wanted to be respectful. So with permission, I finally was brave enough to ask for. And I was told it was okay to share the story. I want to say this. You can have your opinion of this podcast. It's your opinion. And you're entitled to it. And I understand by posting this, I am putting in this open space And I'm allowing it for people to criticize and for it to be criticism. I'm allowing people to say whatever they wish to say. And as difficult as that is, I have to be okay with it. Because there is a price and consequences that exist when one becomes vulnerable and when we decide to say certain things. So, with the blessings from the person who I care most about, that it was okay for me to allow or to say what I share. I thank you ahead of time. And here we go. In an era where information is as omnipresent as the air we breathe, the integrity of the media and its relationship with power structures has come under intense scrutiny. The complicity of certain media outlets with governments or powerful entities willing to distort the truth to serve specific agendas poses a formidable challenge to democratic values and public trust. This phenomena, where the press becomes an echo chambers for the powerful, telling the public to disbelieve their own eyes and ears in favor of a curated truth, has far-reaching implications for society. The fundamental principle of journalism is to inform the public with accuracy, impartiality, and fairness. However, when media entities align too closely with those in power, this principle can be overshadowed by the pursuit of influence, access, or financial gain. The result is a landscape where the media does not merely report events, but plays an active role in shaping perspectives, often blurring the lines between fact and propaganda. This is Majesty Sussex Report. I'm Antonio.
And I don't wanna end that way with someone that's like you. How long can I run? Regret all the mistakes that I made when I was young, 'cause we're flying so close to the sun. Maybe it's different now. I changed somehow. I'm no longer 21. 'Cause nothing hurts like a broken heart by someone who loved you.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. Wherever you are on this blue dot that floats in the universe, I wish you abundance of what your heart and soul needs the most. Please consider subscribing if you are not a subscriber yet, and if you are, remember to turn your notification on. Click on the thumb up image and leave a comment if you wish to do so. This helps our channel with the algorithm. A quick reminder, if this is your first time around, your comment will be deleted if it's inappropriate for this channel. This channel supports the mission and vision of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan. My utmost gratitude to each and every one of you. The comments, the insightfulness, the support, the encouragement has just been phenomenal. It seems like the last podcast really hit, well, I was going to say hit a button or something like that. But thank you so very much. It is received with the generosity and with the good, beautiful intention with which it has been written for me. Thank you. And to all of our new subscribers, thank you so very much for coming into this community and now being part of this family. My hope, as always, is for us to uplift each other, for us to look out for each other, take care of each other. So many of us were looking for community, and so many of us have come together because we saw an injustice happening, we saw unfairness, and we wanted to seek community, to support each other in understanding and in action as to what might we be able to do. And in whatever way you may identify yourself as a squatty or a Sussex squad or just a supporter, in any way, the fact that you are coming to join and form community is pretty special, pretty powerful. It allows us to exchange ideas. It allows us to find comfort and be able to not be doing this by ourselves, right? Because before any of this, I was just frustrated going, there must be some people I can talk to, or I can't be the only one seeing this nonsense that is happening and how unfair this is. So thank you. Thank you so very much. And for everyone on this channel, you know, this is yours as much as it is mine. And I want us to always be in community. I want us to always be able to uplift each other and take care of each other. There's a wealth of knowledge, of empathy, of good people that are here, and that's pretty damn awesome. So thank you all.
Hey, what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves me speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all. Hey, what's your story? A kick-ass mom and 40 under 40. It's soccer practice in your high heel glory. Yeah, you do it all. Ain't but a cup, won't you listen up? I'm a woman, stronger than what you would believe. Way more than what's plain to see. You either got it or you don't.
Think she should come out of privacy and tell us all that she's okay. What the hell is going on? So they go to a garden centre and a member of the public, one member of the public in the whole garden centre takes some footage of them from his car. He doesn't even get out of his car. And then the newspaper gets hold of it and they publish it. And we're all supposed to go, oh, thank goodness for that. She's fine. And this is basically British broadcasting now for the last 3 weeks. It's just a bunch of people sitting around looking at photographs going, I don't know what's going on. Do you know what's going on? I don't know what's going on. Do you know what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And here's our royal expert who also doesn't know what's going on, but will say some words that sound vaguely plausible. Hello, I'm the royal expert. What you have to understand is that she's a young mother and has children and arms. She also has arms and legs and hair. And therefore, we must all be most mindful at this time of her privacy. And also, I think she should come out of privacy and tell us all that she's okay. What the hell is going on?
William make of the coverage? There's a phrase, I think, in your piece, media madness. Does he think it's all just got out of control? I mean, even this morning when we were discussing the appearance at the farm shop, but no photographs, people, putting onto it pictures or it never happened. How much of that seeps through, and how much do they just think, honestly, people are always going to go slightly bonkers on social media?
They are fully sanguine about that. I think they know, social media has a life of its own. I think for him, as I sort of try to explain in my piece, having seen his mother go through quite a lot of that, the hounding of his mother, I think he feels he's seeing sort of elements of that being repeated again in terms of sort of the demands and screeches at his wife over her medical privacy, and that's hurting him.
He sees that direct comparison.
He definitely does, yeah.
So he'll be very sensitive about that.
He always has been, ever since he was a child and ever since he's been with Catherine since university.
What does William...
So I was putting this podcast together last night, and I'd done 80% of it, and then I was adding on sort of what I would have here in the headline section. And I usually check social media and so on before, right? Like a last minute if there's anything out there that I would like to post. And I saw that clip, and I got it. And the first time I watched it had this weird effect on me, and I wasn't sure why. And I'm interested always, when I'm having a certain reaction, whether it's emotional, physical, whatever. Why is that? Because I want to always be able to center myself and be able to have an understanding of how my subconscious is reacting, right? So I watched it again. I've watched it now like maybe about 4 to 5 times, and the same sort of reaction. So trying to understand why became important for me. What I've concluded is that in the last 48 hours, I've seen how the British media, in some sense, was caught off guard. The royal commentators were caught sort of not knowing what exactly the narrative should be. So we had moments of sincerity. We had moments where they had consciousness. There was moments where there was recognition about what was done and is still being done to Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. And within that time, I've seen everything turn again. Because now they're starting to find the narrative. And if there was any hope, if anyone had any hope, that the palace, that the royal family, that the British media would overnight become good citizens, become moral citizens with values, then we're wildly mistaken. It is astonishing to me, the things I've read thus far, the people on these different shows. Astonishing. And I keep asking myself, this has not even been a month. And this sort of like inquiry has not been even a month. And they're in chaos. Meghan Markle has been putting up with this for 7+ years. 7+ years. And as I thought about that last night, I had to stop because I got quite emotional. Because, for people of color, for minorities, we understand and we know what microaggression feels like. We know what racism feels like. We know when We've been gaslit. We know continuously over and over and over, no matter how hard we try, how hard we work, how good we behave, they still treat us as if we were not even human. All this fuss, all this like, I heard today this woman calling on one of the shows and she was in hysteria. Hysteria. Leave the princess alone, leave her. In hysteria. She started to say she works so hard, she does this, that. I'm thinking, does she? Where was that same concern for Meghan? Where was that same outcry? Where was that same public expressions? Wasn't there for her. And even when she told her truth, they didn't believe her or they didn't care to believe her. Listen to how she describes about Prince William, so concerned about what happened to his mother would repeat itself, so he's very protective of his wife, very protective of his family. But when Harry said it, when Prince Harry said almost exactly the same thing, I am triggered because of what happened to my mom. And I see it being repeated. And they offered no protection to Meghan. None. Not one, not two, not zero, none. Listening to these commentators so gracefully, so softly speak and ask for grace and emote how William is feeling and mention the name of his mother, bring his mother into it. He's always been concerned, and especially since Kate has been in his life. Such emotion, such vulnerability. Now, where the F was that for Meghan? Where was it? Where were they? What's the difference? Someone tell me, what's the difference? Because I would like to know what's the difference between one woman who is saying that she wants to take her own existence away to one that had abdominal surgery, and most of what people are asking is just concern for her. They're just asking, where is she? Is she okay? Is she all right? A brother who, when he talks about his mother, he's mocked and laughed at and called weak.
That's one thing. Kind of get used to that when you live within this family. But what they were doing to her and the effect that it was having on her, like enough of the pain, enough of the suffering.
She was just kind of disappearing inside herself.
Very hard to talk about. I was really scared.
It's like, all of this will stop if I'm not here. And that was the scariest thing about it, is it was such clear thinking.
I remember her telling me that. And that really broke my heart. But to just constantly be picked at by these vultures, and I can't protect her. H can't protect her.
But I never thought that it would get to that stage. And the fact that it got to that stage, I felt angry and ashamed. I didn't deal with it particularly well.
I wanted to go somewhere to get help, but I wasn't allowed to. They were concerned about how that would look for the institution.
Don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong. The concern should absolutely be for the safety and the well-being of Kate Middleton. Absolutely. And we should raise our voices. We should be asking questions. Because the way this institution treats women is unacceptable. But listening to her, to both of them, all of them, and the concern, the humanity in which they speak, was not offered when Meghan and Harry told their truth. Harry was mocked. He was mocked every time he brought up his mother, and he said, when I see flashes, it just takes me back there. When he said, I see this abuse that's continuous, that's over and over and over being launched at my wife. I see the chimpanzee leaving wherever and the headline. I see the hateful comments. They mocked him. They laughed at him. They called him everything less than a man because Meghan Markle with her, let me see, mysterious. Yeah, I think I'm loving that word lately, mysterious. With her mysterious voodoos and swaying and all this stuff that she does, she has him, I don't know, enchanted. Maybe enchanted is too much of a white, beautiful word to use in this case. And I wept last night because I kept thinking about how much our humanity is taken away from us. I kept thinking about the stories I overheard my mom and my aunt. You know, one of the things that I appreciate so much about my family and my parents, they never, ever, when adults were speaking, they never told the children or the kids to leave the room or go somewhere else and play. You could sit there and do your thing and listen. And I learned so much. I learned so much. You know, I'll share with you this experience that I overheard my mom saying. She said she used to work at a diner. She had not even finished high school yet. She had gotten a job at this diner because her mom had pulled her out of school and said, you know, you need to start helping the family. And the manager of that diner, oh man, oh boy. He would go to the bathroom, not to urinate, do something else. And then he would call my mother. And he would tell her to go clean it up and flush it. The dehumanization, and I don't understand. And I will never understand the capacity oh boy, hi. Sorry about that. I had to take a few minutes out to wash my face and kind of center myself. And thank you. I just want to say this. I'm in awe of my mother. I'm in awe of my aunts, my uncles. I think there's so much about one's past and one's history that we are losing. I remember my younger brother was having this really silly, stupid argument with our parents, and it was all around a car. He wanted a particular type of car, and because his friends were driving this type of cars, and I was in my room, and I would hear him just getting annoyed, and why can't he have it? And you know, it's a certain brand too, right? It's a certain. I don't want to say more about that because it's not important to the story. And he was getting just riled up, and as I was listening to him, I just kept getting just angrier and angrier. And I got out of my room, and I guess I might have slammed the door so hard. And I walked up to him, and I grabbed him by the back of his neck and shoved him into the wall. And I said, "You raise your voice one more time to our parents, and I swear I will not stop until..." And my mother, because that's her favorite son. She says she loves us all the same, but I don't know. I think that's her favorite son. She grabbed me. She goes, "No, let him go, let him go, let him go." I'm not a violent person. I've never been a violent person. And I grabbed him and I said, "Come to my room." And he said, "I don't care." I said, "Come to my room." So he did. And I sat him down, and I apologized. I said, "Listen, I shouldn't have done that. I'm very sorry." I said, "But do you know the story of those two people you were just talking to? Do you know their story? Do you know their struggles?" I see today so many children and who are so rude and obnoxious and demand things from their parents, from the way they speak to their grandparents. There's such disrespect, lack of respect. They get their heroes and images from social media. They get their ambition from people who do not provide them the example. Because why? We just work hard to provide, to give, and we don't tell our stories. We don't tell about someone spitting on us, someone calling us names. We don't tell our stories. We don't tell our stories of how many jobs you have to hold down in order to buy that one fancy shoes or pants or whatever it is. We don't tell our stories. Why? Is it shame? Get rid of the shame. Shame is creating a generation that all it does is demand things, wants things. You ask most children today what they want to be. I want to be like Kim Kardashian. I want to be a movie star. I want to be a basketball player. Why? Why is that? So who's going to be the scientists? The teachers? The next entrepreneur? Who's going to be the historian? We're not inspiring our children. Why is that? We're not telling our stories. Not telling our stories. You know, I sat there in tears. as I recounted everything I knew. And my brother just looked at me like, what are you talking about? You know, he just looked at me like, who are these people you're talking about? That's not our parents. Our parents always had money. What are you talking about? He knew nothing. And I didn't even know he knew nothing. We must tell our stories. We must. Because when we tell our stories, no one can tell them for us. Because we know our stories. Then we don't have people who are trying to erase them from us. Because we will stand up and defend them. Because they're ours. You don't have the right to erase our stories. You don't have the right to rewrite our stories. You don't have the right to tell us what our stories are about. You don't have the right. They erased and wanted to rewrite Meghan Markle's story as if she did not exist. To take her story and make it now into something completely different than what it was. Oh, we never hated her. Did we? No, at all. We welcomed her with open arms. Oh, come on, that was just a joke. She can't take a joke. Oh, her sensitivity. Look at her. Us, we have a backbone, you say. We understand it's a joke. We get it. Oh, look at her. Oh, is she even black? Is she? Yeah, I didn't know she was. Oh, well, she's not one of us, because she's not really black, you know, because you see, she only discovered that she was black when she started to get racism, because she's not black at all. But because I am more blacker than she is. My blackness. Your blackness. Your blackness. Do you even hear yourself? You are now the spokesperson for colorism and the spokesperson to lynch another black person. I don't freaking care, biracial, underracial, upracial, multiracial. I know how society sees me. I know what they've called me. I know the obstacles they have placed before me. Because when they look at me, they don't see white. So do you think that I will place even more obstacles for my brothers and my sisters? I hold up a mirror to my brothers and my sisters. I say, what are we doing? Do you hear yourself? We see these people on television in Britain. They go on and they criticize and they, well, she should have done this. Well, she should have done that. For what? Look, I get it. Everyone needs to make a pound. Everyone needs to make $1. Everyone needs to be able to feed themselves. I get it. I get it. I get it. But what's the cost? What is the cost of selling our stories, rewriting our stories? What is the cost to us, to our culture, to our people? What is the cost? And is it worth it? The other day I heard Nana, I don't know her last name, criticize another woman on her hair. A black woman. She was on television criticizing another black woman about her hair. Oh, don't get started with black women and their hair. Don't do that. And there she was, a woman wearing a wig, criticizing another black woman who's telling our stories. And why are so many of us selling out our stories? For what? For what? Someone tell me, for what? What is the gain? I don't get it. I don't get it. It really just, it gets to me. It gets to me. I will admit it. It gets to me because it's personal. You know, it is personal. It is personal how they discount her, how they say things like her children are not her children. And you know, I was thinking about this the other day. I think one of the big reasons why we find also these very educated women on TV encouraging this nastiness is because she reminds them that they're not superior. She reminds them that they're not superior. So they have to do everything to try and tear her down. She talks better than them. She dresses better than them. Her intellect is better than them. And they can see in her that they are nothing. That their complex of superiority, that a woman outside can come in to their realm and do the freaking job even better. And she hasn't even moved a finger yet. How dare they? Rotten hearts and no soul. How dare you try and dismiss her stories? How dare you try and discount her as she was nothing?
Yourself for your art. You don't think you will ever change and write books that incorporate white lives into them substantially?
I have done.
In a substantial way?
You can't understand how powerfully racist that question is, can you? Because you could never ask a white author, when are you going to write about black people? Whether he did or not, or she did or not. Even the inquiry comes from a position of being in the center.
And being used to being in the center.
And saying, you know, is it ever possible that you will enter the mainstream? It's inconceivable that where I already am is.
The brilliance of Toni Morrison is just absolutely beautiful. The way she responded to that question when she said, you can't possibly conceive how racist that question is. And the reason why is because you wouldn't have to think about it. You're always in the center. Everything revolves around you. So beautifully answered, so beautifully said, you know. Wow. Well, the plan wasn't to have an emotional podcast as ended up having today. But I made a deal with myself a while ago, a long time ago. And it's just my own personal journey and my own personal belief. I think we have denied ourselves the privilege, the vulnerability, and the honor to feel and live the emotions and sentiments that were given to us by God. I will not deny them when they arrive. They are part of me. They are part of what tells me how I'm feeling, tells me how I feel about something. And allows me to really check myself and to see where I stand on any given thought, opinion, issue. So the podcast today took its own turn. So we didn't get to do the one that I had prepared for Prince William at 8 to talk about that, what happened to him. And also there's another thing about Alice in Wonderland. So hopefully I will bring that to you in our next podcast. For now, I'm leaving you with some of the selected, I don't know if they call them winners. I'm not sure if it's winners, but the leaders. How about that? Yes, absolutely leaders. The leaders that were awarded the Diana Legacy Award. So a few of them we showcase today, and I'll showcase a few more in our next podcast. We're beautiful people, mi gente bella, mira. Look, I love you all, and I hope that you were able to capture something from today, something that you can use, something that you can take with you, or something you may want to implement. I am absolutely serious when I say, tell your stories. Please do share them. One of my most treasured time was when I spent with my grandmother on my dad's side, when she was in the hospital, and I spent days with her, and we talked about so many things, and I learned so much. It's such a treasure, such a golden life, because what we're passing on is life. It's the life of those that we will never meet. You know, she told me things about her grandmother, and it was just so beautiful. So wonderful. I love you all. Thank you for showing up and listening, and maybe you identified with something. Take care. All right? Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your loved ones. And to that stranger you may meet on your path. Be kind to them too. Until we speak again.
Alizé established the Ruhil Foundation with the goal of ensuring nobody would go hungry in her city. To combat food poverty, they delivered 5,500 monthly food parcels and 10,000 meals. At age 11, Chiara founded Cases for Care Indonesia, after learning about the human rights violations at Southeast Asia's biggest landfill site. It has provided the 1,000 landfill children with informal education by furnishing 5 libraries with 1,500 books and lobbying for donations with multinational corporations.
Recognizing the barriers that traditional financial services pose to minority groups, Gopanu was driven to create a solution. He founded Sustaining Women in Financial Turmoil, Swift MFI, a microfinance NGO dedicated to providing financial support to women in marginalized communities facing economic difficulties. Gopanu's initiatives have provided microfinance funding for over 3,000 women in 77 countries, enabling them to establish sustainable businesses, achieve financial independence, and escape poverty.
A student advocate from age 11, Christina's achievements include successfully lobbying for student access to health insurance island-wide, reducing student deregistration by 99%, and an emergency fund to support the most disadvantaged students. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she fundraised millions of Jamaican dollars in supplies to support homeless students and those unable to leave their campuses due to closed borders. Haley founded Kid Caregivers, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting young carers dealing with loved ones affected by Alzheimer's. So far, she has 25,000 followers in 16 countries. Haley created an online support group for kids to connect, share experiences, and feel they're not alone. They also launched a program pairing young volunteers and people with Alzheimer's for puzzle-solving sessions.
Dejea has dedicated herself to working for a better future for her home, the Cayman Islands, with the hope to create a future free of environmental destruction. Youth-led environmental organization Protect Our Future boasts over 60 members from across the Cayman Islands who relentlessly campaign to bring attention to the banning of single-use plastics, mangrove deforestation, and halting construction along the coastlines of the islands. Gabrielle is a passionate young leader who is determined to improve the quality of computer education in rural communities worldwide. After a trip to Phnom Penh, she learned that students had not seen or used a computer before. This sparked the idea to create Dismas Foundation, which, to date, has raised over £30,000 and provided computer labs and technology classes to over 9,000 students, supported by 30-plus volunteer teachers.
The road is long and it gets cold, but I move on, I can't let go. There's one thing I know, I came too far, standing here at the crossroads, can't look back, I still got hope. There's one thing I know, we came too far.
I've been through the fire just like it's 3rd degree. If you want to smoke, it's nothing, just say the word to me. Not a lot that can burden me, cause I've been at it for years, just moving fervently, operating like surgery. Travel long roads, I've paid tolls and still grind. Made it out of storms of heavy rain, I still shine, still climb. From out of the trench, yeah, I will rise. Made it far, but yet to be finished right in real time. I go the distance, I'm holding a golden ticket. I know my soul is prolific, no folding, I'll never pivot. Embracing all of my critics, we ain't scared of the hype. When walking on top of ceilings, I ain't scared of the heights. We run the city to the villains, we just wish them good night. The end of a fight, the battle is won, you heard me right, yeah. Never took an easy road, even in need of hope, I still fought the fight of a champion, made it feasible.
The road is long and it gets cold, but I move on, I can't let go. There's one thing I know, I came too far, standing here at the crossroads, can't look back, I still got hope. There's one thing I know, we came too far,
Never been defeated, competing, what's what's in the rear view. Steer through the muddiest waters, I gotta go harder. Clear view, my vision precise now. Bring out the night hours, grind to the night hours, the night's hours. Yeah, sticking to my guns, you'll never see me flinch. Need the vent, sprinkling emotions like ingredients. Looking through the pages where the ink is dry. All this time, came this far, genius mind. I gotta go for mine.
The day is long and it gets cold.